Hello and welcome again to Games Warp. I'm joined as always by my co-host Kim Lowe.
Hey everyone.
On today's edition of Game Warp we are going to be looking at releases for June. Obviously June is E3 month, so a lot of exciting stuff coming up ahead of that. Let's have a look at what's obviously coming out this month and where you can be spending your hard-earned buckaroos. Kim, what's holding your interest currently on the release schedule then?
Probably Dead by Daylight. There's been a lot of YouTube videos and gameplay on it, and it's supposed to have their release on June 14th, but now they're having this beta testing for people who have bought the deluxe edition of the game. And it's this game where it's a 4 versus 1, so there's one killer, which is very reminiscent of like Friday the 13th, Jason Voorhees. And where he's chasing down a bunch of people in this enclosed space. So it's like the up to four players that he's playing with, they have to try and turn on this X amount of generators, and then once they've turned it on, they can find an exit before this killer comes and catches them and hangs them on a hook.
Nice. I mean, it's funny you should obviously mention Friday the 13th, because at the moment, there is a Kickstarter campaign to get a Friday the 13th game made, and from what I can see, it looks exactly like Dead by Daylight.
Exactly. I actually heard that was where I heard it being mentioned, and I haven't looked into it more, but it's definitely interesting. But I think that Dead by Daylight, I mean, they probably still have a few things they're working out before the final release, which is in a week or so. But it's looking really good. Like the tension that it builds. Like I was just watching like some of my favorite YouTubers play it, and I was literally like, as they were getting caught, I was like, no, don't, And then it was like you can feel that it really get under your skin just by the subtle sounds and just the little cues that they have, and so I think it's definitely a game to look out for, and it's something I want to try if I had a group of friends and I had a better computer and I could play it on Steam. Yeah, I mean, other than that, if I had a 3DS, I'd be super excited about the Kirby.
Yeah, because it's Kirby Planet Robobot, which is out in a couple of days on June 10th, so by the time this episode's out, it should be out already. As I remember when we were talking, obviously, about the releases, and we talked about Kirby, because I still remember the original Kirby game, and in the original Kirby game, he just used to suck up enemies and spit them out. He never had this ability to absorb their powers. And I just remember, like, as a kid, thinking it was really great just to puff him up and just make him run around like he was just, like, been letting himself go.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Kirby is so cute. And I think that's definitely something. It's like a Nintendo character, isn't it? Like, is it by Nintendo? I don't even know. Yeah, I used to play more Mario than Kirby, but I always thought Kirby was super cute. It's like this little character that you just, like, as a kid, and I think growing up right now, even just looking at him, it's just this adorable little thing it's like a puffball with tiny feet pattering, So they're mega adorable, and I think that, like, it seems to be very, like, there's a lot of combat in this one, which I do have the DS one, which I actually never played really far because I didn't find it too good. I can't even remember the name of it. It's in my house somewhere. I just don't remember where.
Obviously, on the Mario track, we've also got Mario and Sonic at the Rio 2016 Olympic Games for the Wii U, which is out on June 24th. So, again, they're still trying to hang in there, Nintendo, at the moment. I personally don't know anyone who actually owns a Wii U. So, obviously, someone out there is buying these games because they've obviously wheeled out their usual edition of the Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. But at the moment, I can't say it really looks like it's offering anything that we haven't had in previous volumes, apart from a different setting. Probably the most exciting release of this month, which is out already, which is Mirror's Edge Catalyst. A game which I think people have been excited about since the original beta came out, and it's nice to see that they've taken with the original sort of launch title from the Xbox 360 with the original Mirror's Edge, and they've tweaked it slightly for the Xbox One, as well as PS4 and PC. And they've added a few new tweaks to it. So I'm excited for Mirror's Edge Catalyst. Again, it's one of those games that I still need to pick up. Whereas on the cheaper side of things, you have got Dangerous Golf, which reminds me a lot of Outlaw Golf on the PlayStation 2. Again, that's out already. You can buy that on the marketplace. And basically, it's a golfing, kind of like mini golf, but the objective is to cause as much destruction as possible as you battle through slight stately homes. There's a number of sort of trick shots you can do where you can knock it into champagne floats and it fires off corks or under prime crossbows. So it's got anyone who's remembers the Burnout games and we had the chance to basically cause this bigger pileup as possible. It's a similar idea that you have with Dangerous Golf, except that instead of using a car, you're basically launching a golf ball and seeing as much damage as you can. And it's a great game if you've got a few people around, but if it's to play by yourself, it does kind of lose its appeal after about the first 10 minutes. But just for as a fun party game, it's really up there, especially because it doesn't require a huge amount of gaming skill to sort of play it. So one of the recurring themes in June that I'm seeing as well this month is the return of survival horror. There's about 3 or 4 titles that are all coming out that are all based in the survival horror genre. First off, we've got Deadlight, the Director's Cut, which is coming to Xbox One, PS4, and PC on June 21st, which, again, is another of those little indie 2D titles that originally showed up as a Games with Gold back on the 360, and it's interesting the fact that it's now been given a Director's Cut. The Resident Evil series continues to churn out more titles with Umbrella Corps on June 21st, which is going to be on PC and PS4.
Yeah, that one is, it's interesting because there was the Resident Evil 5 re-release, which is coming out at the end of the month.
Yep.
I was listening to some PAX East recaps of Umbrella Corps, and it seems like a lot of people have the reservations, I think, still. The franchise for some are, kind of falling off a little. Like, it's not so great anymore as it used to be. It's definitely not comparable to, say, like, the beginning few that really managed to build the horror atmosphere. Now it seems more of like an action puzzle game more than anything.
Yeah, I feel that you're completely right there. The problem that they had is that Resident Evil 4 everybody loved, and they've been since trying to capture that magic again. See, with the first 2 games, and perhaps Resident Evil Nemesis to an extent, we had that puzzle element, the survival horror, and it was all very slow-paced and plodding. We get into Resident Evil 4, it's more of an action game. It really takes the survival horror genre and just makes it into a more of an action game. And then from 5 and 6, we've continued to get these accusations, there's too much action now. Even though they're obviously trying to give players more of what they enjoyed before. The Resident Evil series, again, it's one of those series that, while they're obviously messing around with their main franchise, we have all these spin-offs like Revolutions, Case Zero, and obviously Umbrella Corps. And while they're trying to add things to the universe, it becomes very convoluted and loses again the focus of what Resident Evil was. I don't know if there's still a place for the same sort of plodding game that we would have with the original game still, or if there's a balance to be found between Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 4. That nice happy medium again. I'm yet to see it, and the last thing I really want to see for the Resident Evil franchise is for them to just pull a reboot and try and just start over again, because there's a good mythology there. It just needs some tidying up, and just one solid game, I think, is what we need, or just to give us a final game to end it completely. But with these games still continuing to make money, I don't see that being an option they're going to take.
Yeah, like pull like a Fast Five for the Fast and the Furious franchise. in our movie terms. But yeah, no, I mean, I totally agree with you. Resident Evil, but what I think that Resident Evil 7 is like, what rumor is that they're trying to find that balance and they're really working hard to do that. But then I feel like every single one has kind of gone through that path. I think that's the only way you're going to attract fans of the franchise to still go back to Resident Evil, is the promise that, and the hope that it's still going to, it's still going to be able to give you the creeps that it used to,
But no, with Resident Evil 6, I mean, they took this unusual path of, with by using different characters and having different gameplay styles for each of them. So Chris Redfield was like the really action-based one, and then you had other characters which were like more traditional Resident Evil. So it'd be nice for them just to pick one style and stick with it for Resident Evil 7.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I mean, still on obviously the survival horror track. I mean, we've got We Happy Few, which is coming out on PC and Xbox One.
But I heard that one's only sorry to interrupt you. I saw that was only a Steam early access still. They still don't have a release date set.
Yeah, I mean, it is Steam early access at the moment, so you can obviously play around with that. But I think the game people are most excited about, certainly in the survival horror genre, is 7 Days to Die, which is coming out on PS4 and Xbox One on June 28th, and kind of looking like the zombie survival version of Minecraft. That's the only way I can think of it, where you have to build your defenses, because every night the zombies and monsters turn up and attempt to kill you, and it's each night the monsters and whatnot get tougher, and you have to find constantly better resources, build better defenses to obviously survive the night. And it's an interesting looking concept, but I don't know if it's got lastability. I think it's one that I need to sit down and play. I can't tell from obviously the reviews and the footage we've seen, which certainly looks intriguing, but I don't know if it's got enough to really hold my attention, really, whether this would be something that you sort of pick up and play occasionally, or whether it would be something that you would really put some time into mastering or not. I mean, this was one you highlighted to me as well. I mean, what's your sort of thoughts on 7 Days to Die?
It's an open world survival. I feel like there's been a good bit of them, but they are by Telltale Games, so they do have a chance of being pretty good, I guess.
Yeah.
I just wonder if it's solely like that, or is it like a choice-based game also, just like the other Telltale games, like very story-based? Because the trailers don't really offer a lot. I'm seeing some, like, I haven't had a chance to look at them, but there's been like interviews and whatnot that have popped up, but I haven't had a chance to catch up on it. I don't know if you have.
Yeah, I mean, certainly from what I can tell, it is foregoing the usual choice-based system, as it is just basically about survival. So you're building structure, you're sourcing food and water, and you're basically making this last-ditch stand against the monstrous hordes. So, like Minecraft, you have to go out, you have to find tools, you have to find resources. And at the same time, if you like carrying raw meat or fruits, it means that you create smell, which means zombies can then detect you. And as it obviously goes on, the zombies become smarter, so I mean, they can dig, they can destroy walls, they can obviously knock down doors to try and get at the player to kill them. And it's about constantly trying to improve your traps and your defenses and find better resources to build up your little base. But it's an interesting move, especially from Telltale, who, as we said already, the choice-based games of really what they've sort of grounded the company on. So to see them branching out and doing this sort of survival horror game is it's going to be interesting, obviously, to see how that plays out.
I think it definitely is a good change, especially because they've been having, like, I mean, in general, the reviews for their last few games, like the later releases, haven't been too positive. There's been a lot of like flaws, and there's been a lot of like, just pacing issues, and just, I think they're probably trying to open up like a new territory to discover and to try to kind of like survival horror is a big thing right now, and the indie games are also a big thing right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you put the two together, everybody has their expectations. And plus, I think this falls a little on, like, maybe this is a little like The Long Dark.
Okay.
Yeah, The Long Dark is very similar. Like, it's just not with zombies. It's, I believe it's just like you're in the wilderness and you need to survive. I haven't really looked, like, I'm not big on this sort of open world thing. I'm actually really unfamiliar with a lot of open world games because I have a hard enough time with just focusing on one territory to have so many options. I don't know how I would manage, but this definitely looks interesting. I mean, I'm guessing it would be very much like a shorter kind of survival horror because you're only surviving for 7 days. So that I think that's the plan, right? Like, you have 7 days before you die, so you need to figure it out.
I think that's, again, and that's what sort of makes me question with the longevity of the game. If it's only 7 days, it's not got that potential, like most sandbox games or open world games, where potential for it just to go on and on. That time frame of just 7 days, it makes you question its longevity, really. But as I said, we'll be able to find out more when it's obviously released on June 28th.
Definitely.
Obviously, if survival horror is not your thing, there is some great sci-fi coming out. We obviously have the most important title for LEGO fans, and that's LEGO Star Wars The Force Awakens, which is out on June 28th. This is going to be out on basically all consoles, because it's a LEGO game. Do we need to really say what's going to be happening in Force Awakens, LEGO Star Wars?
No, I mean, we covered that in the last one on how we felt about it, so let's just, you know what, if our viewers or listeners want to know more about our opinion on that, or mostly yours, because I don't really have much of an opinion on it, they can go back to our debut episode and check that out.
Yep.
I can even leave a timestamp at the bottom just to tell them where it is.
We also have Star Ocean 5 Integrity and Faithfulness. Another addition to the ongoing Star Ocean saga. Been one of those RPGs that's kind of always been there in the background, and this is coming here in the 5th installment in the series. I really like the Star Ocean series, and this one is going to take place between the 2nd and 3rd game in the series, so it's not essential really that you've played any other games. You can just pick this one up and play it. The frustrating thing about this release, obviously, is the fact it's a PS4 exclusive, and obviously I don't have a PS4, unlike my co-host. So I'm probably going to send you to Kim off to play that one when it comes out on June 28th. You can let me know, because I'm a fan of these RPG games. Am I right in saying?
I'm okay with RPG. I mean, I'm okay. Like, I'm slowly being better. I'm like, if you said, like, RPG is okay, it's a little worse when there's a lot of strategic, like, tactical things, like Final Fantasy.
Okay.
That sort of tactical side, I'm really bad at. Like, it's kind of a sign that if there was a war, don't recruit me for strategy. Your country will. Like, that's pretty much it. But yeah, I can check it out. Definitely. Star Ocean. What's the title?
It's Star Ocean 5: Integrity and Faithfulness. I mean, I personally like the series. It's got the Final Fantasy vibe, but just in space.
Oh, that just won me over. Final Fantasy vibe and space, both things I like quite a bit.
But
yeah,
like Lost Odyssey, it's just one of those RPG games which has never really got the love it deserves, and I think that I'm going to need to go back and start looking at some of the old Star Ocean games for our main home base. That moment in. Kim, is there anything else coming out that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I think that this is a big month for Insomniac Games. Before we go, I think we have to definitely address that.
Yeah.
Because, they're coming out with Edge of Nowhere, which is PC VR game. Unfortunately, we both don't have VR, and it's a pity because the game looks amazing.
Yeah, I mean, Edge of Nowhere, it's basically The Thing. The Thing meets Cthulhu. It's the only thing I can tell, because certainly this monster's a whole lot bigger. I don't understand why this is being done as an Oculus exclusive. From what I can see from the mechanics, it would play perfectly well on the consoles, but instead they've decided that they're just going to make this an Oculus exclusive. So you basically need to have some money put aside to upgrade all your gear. I mean, what's your feelings on the Oculus? I like this about as much as I like 3D glasses at the cinema, so...
No, it's, you know what it is I'm sure the experience is, like, for horror games, it's going to be grueling and scary and really puts you in the space, but at the same time, VR also has an issue, is that many people will have the issue, like, if you easily have motion sickness, well, you can't play VR because you're trapped in this space, and you have to take breaks because it kind of changes your vision a little too.
Yeah.
So, like, I've never tried it. I really want to, but I'm really worried that it's not gonna, like, go over so well. And what my hope for Ed tomorrow is that if there's, maybe with enough push, maybe they will eventually release it as a console game, or even just on Steam or something,
Yeah.
Because, some games are like that. I mean, some games are like, oh, this is exclusive, right? Like, Oxenfree that got released on PS4 on May 31st. That game was, when it was released, it was considered like an Xbox PC exclusive kind of thing. And then, like, now it's on PS4. So if they see the demand is there, probably, they will probably try and go on console too. It just depends. I think it depends on how they've like made the game and like how it's gonna like affect, like if it's really based on just looking at environment or whatever, then maybe it's gonna be a lot of work to turn into a console compatible one. But anyways, that's a lot of rambling. No, like my feelings towards the Oculus Rift or HTC Vive or whatever the other one is, it's, I think that it still needs time to prove that it's worth the money. Like, you're throwing in like $300 above for something to add to what you have,
Yeah.
And that's a lot of money. That's like the cost of a console. I mean, if you put money aside for a console, you have to put double the money to have your VR. And then, like, what does the VR have that, I mean, the choices are not huge right now either.
No, it's very limited on what you can use it for. So I feel it's going to need a much stronger back catalogue of games before people are willing to part over with that sort of money. At the same time, there are going to be obviously those techno fans who are going to go out and buy on day one. They're going to have it because it's sort of the must-have gadget at the moment. So there's obviously going to be some people who are going to buy it, but at the moment, I don't think that it has the back catalogue of games required to really sort of capture that mass market. So at the moment, it's more of a curiosity of a peripheral than sort of a must-have that I think they would like you to believe it is. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's an experience. I'm sure that, like, most people would like to experience it. But then, I mean, my amusement park here has, like, they just installed a ride with the VR headsets.
Okay.
So, I mean, if you want to experience it, just go to the amusement park. You might have one near you that has it,
I know that Alton Towers up here in the serene shores of England have just launched their first VR roller coaster as well. So I've yet to go on it, but I love the fact that you're using VR on a roller coaster. I think it sort of like takes it really to that next level, really. So
definitely. I mean, probably need to line a lot more garbage cans at the bottom for people just in case. But yeah, I think if you're up for adventure and you're up for a lot of excitement, I have no doubt that, like, virtual reality experience is definitely great. But it's like you said, like, it's kind of like 3D glasses, like, it's like a 3D TV. I'm not ever going to buy a 3D TV in my life. It's just not worth it. If I wanted to get a 3D experience, I'd go to the theater and watch a 3D movie, and then we still have people who talk about most movies that are 3D but don't really need to be. So the argument is constantly there of the effectiveness and the usefulness of having this, like, what is the experience that we're supposed to gain out of it, and is it truly worth it? And I think that that's what differs between everyone.
But I guess that brings us to the end of this news roundup. Thank you for listening, and thank you as always to my co-host, Ms. Kim Lowe.
Yeah, and final thing is, if you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and comment anything you have at the bottom. If there's anything you'd like to recommend to us, remember to leave us a comment or drop us an email at gamewarppodcast@gmail.com.